Egypt is home to one of the oldest Christian communities in the world, the Coptic Church, tracing back to the Apostle Mark. Coptic Christians make up roughly 10% of the population. But being a Christian in Egypt, especially a convert, means constant pressure. Your religion is on your national ID card. Born Muslim? Changing that to Christian is virtually impossible. Those who try to officially convert face legal barriers, social rejection, and violence. For Coptic Christians, persecution is persistent. Communities have been targeted in church bombings during Palm Sundays and Christmas services. Women and girls are disproportionately kidnapped for forced conversion to Islam. Church building permits remain difficult to obtain. Christians face discrimination in employment, education, and public life. For converts from Islam, it's far more dangerous. Surveillance from family, threats of violence, honor killings the government does little to prevent. Many flee their homes or the country entirely. Despite this, the church endures. Coptic Christians continue to worship, serve, and bear witness to a faith that has survived here for nearly 2,000 years. Their steadfastness is ancient, a testament to a God whose steadfast love is from everlasting to everlasting, sustaining his people in Egypt for 2 millennia.
One of the stories that really made a difference for me and where I felt how God intervened in is the story of a priest. This priest loves his people very much and likes to take care of them. Because of how active he is in his service and his influence among their community there, he was subjected to many challenges because of his participation in the message of the gospel, and he was killed with great courage by a large number of Salafi youth or of Islamic background in general, as this news spread across several provinces. The Salafi groups organized and targeted him to try to kill. He was killed multiple times. The last time he was killed was when someone stopped him in a car and assaulted him with a sharp tool in his side. He wanted to kill him. But God saved him at the last moments, and he returned home in a very difficult situation. His whole face was swollen and full of wounds, and he spent 2 or 3 months at home treating these wounds and pain. And this caused a lot of tension in the house for his wife, his daughters, and his older brothers. They couldn't handle him. And at that time, everyone abandoned him. The church abandoned him. The congregation abandoned. No one could do anything. When he tried to hold a protest in the name of the police to prove what happened to him, unfortunately, no one cared about his case or tried to help him prove it. Just to be a founder, so they were afraid. They feared human rights and a religious man's effect on society and the country. Because a religious man is persecuted, not just an ordinary person. And as a result, he could not prove anything. He could not prove anything, neither through the security forces nor through anyone who could help him. I heard the news through one of my friends. I talked to him and met him. He told me the whole story from when I first shared the gospel with those guys until the final stage of death. At that time, we hosted him in a safe house, he and his family to be in a safe place, to be protected from any evil in the governorate where they were. And after a short time, he stayed in the safe house, and we started helping him practically. We provided him with money for living and to increase the needs of his children in schools. We tried to move them to the safe house so that they could rest and calm down. They could feel some stability, some calmness, and to take some breaks and to depend on the Lord and to lift their prayers, to offer their situation. After a while, he started to receive other threats on his mobile. So we had to change the place and move to a new place. And we thank the Lord at that time. The Lord used his money to travel to another Arab country outside of Egypt, he and his family, and to settle there and to start to serve in the middle of the Arab country to which he had moved as As painful as it was encouraging that God saved him from death and preserved his testimony as a man of God in the middle of a society very religious.
Actually, I worked with the situations to help within organizing all of their work. So I love working with situations and with the job team to help the situations to obtain some money in specific time, but also get payment source to cover its operations, and not just in short time, but long term. We have many businesses here in Egypt. In fact, in Egypt, we have a wide group of communities. One of the favorite projects, helping women get something small, like a small tuk-tuk or a metro car, not just for the older woman, but also for the younger woman, because we meet with many people of their own age, but it meets the woman, even if almost 18 years of age. So she cannot obtain a group to move a car. So we find a way to solve, to buy a metro car, and we start by giving something like some food or something else. For the woman, this is one of the creative projects that we have done recently. We accepted a person quite a long time ago who knows the Lord in a way that is strange, because he was from a family, very Muslim. His father is a Salafi person, and they are very committed to Islam. They have an Islamic upbringing and perform all duties until a time he began to discover some things, and his mind started thinking, why does the Prophet of Islam perform actions and difficult behavior? He started asking his family. They found the answers unconvincing, and they rebuke him and say to him, what you think is wrong, you cannot think about it. So he began saying, if this is wrong against the mind and logic, then why do we follow it? He was subjected to severe persecution from his father by being beaten, and he started calling the sheikhs to pray and rebuke, and his father invited the sheikhs to pray. And they told him that you have an evil spirit because of the questions despite his young age. He asked with logic, and they had no answer. He dreamed the Lord dealt with him, that he saw the Christ, and he knew the interpretation of the dream. He saw Christ, and that he is calling him, and calling him hand of help, or the way to walk for his night of light. Of course, the Lord dealt with him through a friend who started entering the church and introducing him to the faith by way of the church itself. Of course, he dealt in a way very violent by the family, that you are an atheist and also you are permissible to be killed. And it reached a stage his father forbade him to deal with his sister in the same house, and his mother said that it is forbidden to deal with them because you followed another path and blasphemed against religion. And we were able to meet with this person and hear his story and to help him. He had a challenge, being young and uneducated. We were able to help find a source of income and to complete his education and his living away from his family, because he could not live with them, meaning the tricycle. The service was able to help this person get a tricycle, and he is able to deliver orders from and to the shops to the house. And currently, he is giving us orders. We are not new, and we are very happy as a service. And we are faithful that it will be an impact strong on his life.
The service of the Sudanese brothers started in April 2023 when the war broke out in Sudan. And after a few days, hundreds, if not thousands of Sudanese, and offered us humanitarian aid and medical aid and other places to help them and care for them in Egypt. Their situation was very painful. Many people were old and could not travel for days in the desert. They were injured. Many people died on the way. Many were in pain, children and adults with diseases like diabetes and high blood pressure. We thank God that we were in Aswan. As a service, we were able to provide medical care. We were able to provide humanitarian care. We offered food. We offered clothes. We offered more than shoes and many other things related to children. To help them, we also did a simple spiritual program called Taranim, and there was an individual work and the direct charity in an individual way through many servants who were present, and this helped people to hear the gospel and see practical love without exaggeration. No one else did this. In the place where all the buses that go to Aswan, where we offered them the gospel, we provided them with holy books in their dialect and languages, and also books for children which tell stories from the gospel in a Sudanese dialect which helps them to hear the gospel. We brought them into safe houses and connected them to local churches. And after these events, which were frequent and for a long time, we started to deal individually with these churches and to receive from them cases of violent and painful persecution. And we did this with a large number of churches. We still do events during Christmas. Through these events, we share the gospel and get to know the churches. And we can help them with projects to provide them with a stable income so that they can continue in Egypt and settle.
One of the prayer requests that we pray and we would love to see in Egypt, that the people we helped with projects, not just, they are able to help themselves and reach a good income, but they can also help others. There are people we meet. We would love to be finding them a safe environment that they can work in. So one of the things that will encourage us very much, and we pray for it, is that the projects that are existing, we enter into it also other people and other persecuted ones who are working.
There are laws that provide freedom for people to change their religion or their faith and to change official papers, so they can live in freedom to worship Jesus and go to church like any other Christian in his nation. He doesn't need to feel fear, persecution, and pain all the time, as much as he needs to live as a believer, as a Christian with his new identity, without restrictions from security and family, and to have the resources to help him live this life.
Meaning to me, how to be attached to all this and to be in peace. Because we hear many stories from the persecuted person, and we find that country we live in now tracks them and jumps them. Therefore, we pray that we be safe and God keeps us to continue in keeping these people without any one of us knowing. In helping or dealing with them, this is one attempt. But in reality, I love working in this area because I learn more and more from the stories I heard from the persecuted person. They truly showed me God's stories in dealing with us, and I'm truly happy with their stories. And every time I hear stories from the persecuted person, I leave this meeting in fall with the stories and keep them in my heart. And I feel that God is always good, and He has many ways to reach each one of us.
My name is Mariam. I live in Egypt, and I have 3 daughters and a son. My circumstances are really hard. My husband left me, and I have a lot of problems in my life. I feel oppressed, and people, my Muslim neighbors told me, come. When they saw how much I was struggling in life, they told me, come, we'll get you an apartment, gold, and lots of money, and you'll live very comfortably and won't have to worry about a thing, but you and your kids have to convert to Islam. And they promised me that God would find us an apartment. We need an apartment, and we need a good place to live near the schools.